What if everything that destroyed Walter White wasn't bad luck, but a series of terrible decisions he chose to make? Breaking Bad isn't just about crime. It's about mistakes. Small ones, big ones, the kind that don't look dangerous in the moment, but quietly reshape everything. Today, we're breaking down the biggest mistakes made by the main characters, step by step, season by season. And trust me, some of these decisions didn't just cost money or power. They cost lives. At first glance, Walter White's story feels like fate, cancer, desperation, a man pushed too far. But look closer, and a pattern appears. Every major collapse in the show can be traced back to a decision, a precise moment where someone had a way out and rejected it. Across 5 seasons, characters consistently choose short-term control over long-term survival. They act on pride instead of strategy, emotion instead of calculation. What makes Breaking Bad so realistic is that none of these mistakes feel extreme when they happen. They feel justified, logical, even necessary. That's what makes them dangerous, because by the time the consequences become visible, it's already too late to undo them. Mistake 1. Walter White's first mistake, Season 1, Episode 5, Gray Matter. Walter's biggest mistake isn't cooking meth. It's why he starts. In the pilot, he's offered a lifeline. Gretchen and Elliot are willing to pay for his treatment. No risk, no crime, no lies. He refuses, not because it wouldn't work, but because it would hurt his pride. This decision is critical because it destroys the narrative that Walter had no choice. He did. He just didn't like it. From that moment on, every action he takes is built on a lie he tells himself, that he's doing this for his family. In reality, he's protecting his ego, and that's what makes his future decisions so dangerous, because they're not driven by necessity anymore. They're driven by identity. Mistake 2. Jesse Pinkman's emotional decisions, Season 2, Episode 12, Phoenix. Jesse's worst decisions come from one place: emotional dependence. In Phoenix, he's not just using drugs, he's building a reality with Jane that disconnects him from consequences. Instead of stabilizing, he escalates. He plans to escape with her, fueled by money that was never meant to give him freedom. But the deeper mistake isn't the plan, it's his inability to recognize manipulation. Jane pushes him toward using the money immediately, increasing risk. Jesse follows because he wants connection more than safety. This leads directly to Jane's overdose. Jesse's pattern is clear. He confuses loyalty with trust and attachment with stability. In a system built on calculated distance, Jesse gets pulled closer to people, and that's exactly what puts him in danger again and again. His humanity is real, but in this world, it's also a liability. Mistake 3. Skylar White's involvement, Season 3, Episode 3, IFT. Skylar's turning point isn't when she learns the truth, it's when she decides to manage it. By Season 3, she understands exactly what Walter is doing. She sees the risk, the lies, the instability, and instead of removing herself, she restructures the situation. The car wash isn't just a business, it's a system of justification. A way to make something illegal feel controlled. This is where Skylar makes a strategic mistake. She assumes proximity gives her influence. In reality, it binds her to consequences she can't control. Once she's involved in laundering money, she loses the ability to separate herself morally and legally. Her attempt to contain the damage ends up locking her inside it. And from that point on, every option she has becomes worse than the last. Mistake 4. Hank Schrader's obsession. Season 4, Episode 10, Salud. Hank's defining mistake isn't missing clues, it's refusing to stop once he finds them. By Salud, Hank is physically recovering, but mentally, he's more consumed than ever. He doesn't treat Heisenberg as a case anymore. He treats it as a personal mission. That shift changes everything, because once it becomes personal, objectivity disappears. Hank starts pushing forward without considering timing, backup, or the full scope of risk. He isolates himself, not just professionally, but psychologically. And that isolation prevents him from seeing the most important truth, that Walt isn't just a suspect. He's already inside his life. Hank's instincts are correct. His execution is not. And in Breaking Bad, being right doesn't protect you if you act at the wrong moment. Mistake 5. Gus Fring's fatal flaw, Season 4, Episode 13, Face Off. Gus Fring represents perfection, and until he doesn't, for years, he operates without error. Every move is calculated, every risk minimized, but his entire system has one hidden weakness: unresolved emotion. His hatred for Hector Salamanca isn't strategic, it's personal, rooted in years of loss and humiliation. In Face Off, that emotion surfaces. Gus visits Hector not to solve a problem, but to prove dominance, to close a psychological loop. That decision breaks his own rules, and that's all it takes. One deviation from discipline, one moment where he prioritizes feeling over function. Gus doesn't die because he made many mistakes. He dies because he made one, at the worst possible time. Mistake 6. Walter's arrogance, Season 5, Episode 8, Gliding Over All. Walter's evolution into Heisenberg isn't gradual anymore by Season 5. It's complete, and that's exactly why he becomes unstable. In Gliding Over All, he orchestrates prison murders with precision. Operationally, it's flawless. Strategically, it's catastrophic. Because this is the moment Walter stops thinking in terms of survival and starts thinking in terms of dominance. He doesn't just want to avoid consequences, he wants control over everything. That shift creates overconfidence. He expands too aggressively, keeps too many variables in play, and assumes he can manage outcomes indefinitely. But complexity is the enemy of control. And the more Walter builds, the more fragile his system becomes, even if he can't see it yet. Mistake 7. The book that exposed everything, Season 5, Episode 8, Gliding Over All. After years of deception, Walter is undone by something almost insignificant: a book. Gale's message inside it isn't obvious. It doesn't scream danger, but it creates a connection, a single thread linking Walter to Heisenberg. And that's enough. The real mistake isn't keeping the book, it's believing he's beyond mistakes at all. Walter becomes careless not because he's stupid, but because he thinks he's already won. This is the most realistic failure in the entire series. Not a dramatic collapse, but a quiet oversight. After everything he calculated, he forgets that control is never permanent. Mistake 8. Jesse's final breaking point, Season 5, Episode 14, Ozymandias. Jesse's final mistake isn't one decision, it's a pattern that never changes. Even after discovering the truth about Brock, even after realizing how far Walter has gone, Jesse stays connected to the situation. He hesitates. That hesitation is enough to get him captured. Jesse always reacts instead of preempting. He waits for clarity instead of acting on instinct. And in a world where timing is everything, that delay costs him his freedom. What makes this tragic is that Jesse understands what's happening. He just can't detach fast enough to escape it. His awareness comes too late, and by then, the consequences are already in motion. Every major character in Breaking Bad made mistakes, but none of them looked like mistakes at the time. Walter chose pride because it felt justified. Jesse chose connection because it felt human. Skyler chose control because it felt necessary. Hank chose pursuit because it felt right. Gus chose revenge because it felt earned. Every decision made sense in the moment, and that's exactly why they were so dangerous. Because Breaking Bad isn't a story about obvious failures. It's a story about reasonable decisions made under pressure that slowly create irreversible outcomes. There's no single turning point, no instant collapse, just accumulation. One choice, then another, until the system they built becomes impossible to escape. Walter White didn't fall because he made one fatal mistake. He fell because every time he had a chance to stop, he chose not to.